Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Gracious good morning to you, good people. It's your girl KB. You know what I do, and you know why I do it. Don't know how the morning got away from me. Well, I do, but it doesn't matter. It got away from me. Yeah, I came in with a whole lot to say. Didn't record much. Um, it's 3:43, so I have a couple of hours, but it takes time for these videos to upload. So, once I get going, it's gonna be a hot mess. I'm just gonna let you know up front. Anywho, my blood sugar is pretty high right now because I ate some cherries on the way from the car to the office, and the sugar is just now kicking in. So I'm flushing my system with water. I've done my insulin, so I'm pretty cool. I've taken my medications, so I'm pretty cool. Well, hell, I'm pretty cool anyway. I'm just messing with y'all. I'm not that narcissistic. I play too much, if there is such a thing. But I enjoy the heck out of life. That being said, I'm going to talk about enjoying the heck out of life. There comes a point in your life, I want to say when you hit 50, where you just don't care. You're going to say what's on your mind. You're going to say how you feel. You're going to leave some people alone. And you're okay with that. And, I want to say vice versa. Some people are going to leave you alone, but you're still okay with that. I don't want to say so-called, because we were thick as thieves at one point in time. So some of my friends, I'm going to phrase it that way, I had to just see you when I see you, give you a hug in passing. I appreciate you, but I'm up and out. There's just some particular individuals you awaken to. And I can tell you, and when you awaken to certain folks, you see them in a different light. You see them for what they possibly added to your life at one point in time, and what they did add to your life at one point in time. And where you were mentally and emotionally, because some of the associations that you have are a timeline, an emotional timeline, and a developmental timeline for you. And just trying to figure out who's who and what's what. Now, there's one particular individual actually, there are two. This past few years. One, I awakened to, got along pretty good. Shared a lot. But then I realized this particular individual was what I like to call a culture vulture. Now, what that is for me is somebody that aligns themselves with you. Notice I said align, because it took me a minute to figure it out. They align themselves with you to say that they did it. Or to say, in my instance, I have black friends. And I went along with that for a hot minute because I thought they were a friend. And I was telling them how certain things fall into place as far as racism that most folks don't see. Or because it happens so often, it's been normalized, and, the phrase is microaggressions. And I want you to kind of get in the habit of taking the word aggression off of it. Because people see that as like a dig or a violent kind of confrontation when you attach aggression to it. When sometimes it's just willful ignorance and the joy of privilege. Because I've normalized this thinking for so long, I know this is my birthright, so to speak. I'm going to have conversation over here about it, but I'm going to do nothing to change my positioning. Oh, I'm very much aware of it. That's what the individual told me. And I wanted to say, based on something that went down, that's not awareness. You know, pretty much I want to say you don't know stuff. You don't know jack. Because you're operating in it right now. You're enjoying it. And when you didn't get your way, you went to the place of victimization, which is pretty much the scenario. The other person, because I had an emotional tie, an emotional connection, an emotional draw. Lie, 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 lie. As my grandma would say, you would lie about the time of day. There's nothing in it for you, but you just lie. Do you imagine how damaged your psyche has to be? And I'm sorry, I don't want this to seem, like a bash. But I'm just thinking out loud. Do you know how damaged your psyche has to be in order for you to live like that? You have to maintain an image. And that's all you have. An image is hollow. An image is a caricature. What is your character and the content of your character? What do your life choices say about you? Now, we all make mistakes, every last one of us. Okay? But do you learn from your mistakes? Or is that pattern so deeply ingrained and you're that fragile that you have to maintain it? And then you look around and say, I don't know why I keep making these choices. And again, it's because you've done no work. You do geographics, which means you move from one area to the next. You put out scenarios where the other party is always crazy or harsh or critical. You sever ties because you've created a story about this other person. And then you rally the troops who haven't called you on your stuff because they benefit from you being sick. So they help you stay in your sickness because it benefits them. That's called host and parasite. That's what that's called. That's called narcissism at its finest. And you're the victim of the gaslighting. But because of the way it's done, you have to remain silent. Now, that's when you're dealing with a real narcissist. You have to remain silent because, your voice when you wake up sounds like a narcissist. Get it? It's cool when it's running smooth, but the minute you wake up to your abuse, you're the hater, so to speak. Yeah. And I had to look at that long and hard. And I still talk about it because the trauma is real, y'all. Trauma is real. I need to say that. But I also need to say there's healing, and it's a slow, arduous process. And at some points in Mr. or Mrs. Toad's wild ride, you knew what you were doing. And because that emotional attachment in some ways soothe your trauma, or you got to forget about your trauma. So you had trauma prior to entering into whatever. So because that was, I want to say, tampered down a little bit, you didn't think about your choices. I don't ever want to just have somebody be the sole blame. You had to look at how you got there. Because you, and I say this pretty tongue-in-cheek, are the only person that you have control over. And when the smoke clears, you have to ask yourself, did I really have control? Never mind what's going on. Was I a willing participant? That's some heavy thoughts for this morning. But that's where my head is.